Good afternoon. This is Ron Brown. I'm going to revisit a concept that I came up with, back on June 26th. It's the LLUR based upon moving average extensions, or lower left, upper right charts based on the moving average extensions. Now, my theory at the time was that this is just a very quick way to find out if a market's rolling over or not. So what I've done, for those of you who use HGSI, if you go to the broad market indices folder under the Woodward and Brown user groups, you will find that I have placed this in here, the LLUR based upon the moving average extensions. So I'm going to just flip through. I'll make this full screen or drag this over. And I'm using under the end of day, the top-down analysis, the top view, number 1, which is top-down analysis VPA scorecard trends combo. So this is a combo that looks for trends, and percentage price moves up the past 5 days. And you can see what's on top of the list. Now, if I change to this index group, these are the stocks which are in this index. And you can see this is the index dated 6/26/17. So this is clear back in June. Now, like I said, my theory was that if this LLUR remains intact, the market is not rolling over, and it has not rolled over since. You can see that this index has a accumulation right here. So let's just bring up the index, and you can see that going back to June, this would be June in here, I'll put a crosshair on, in the end of June, when it looked like maybe the market was rolling over, this index has rallied and has continued higher. In fact, that date 6/26/17 was right here, and we had a little pullback after that, and then buyers stepped up again, and the market continued higher. Now, what I want to do is use a feature which is not used much in HGSI, but I'm going to go to the designer, and I'm going to go to the $, the group performance analysis. And I have clicked on that. The group is already chosen automatically, and you can see that I put the 27th in here for my opening date, and the close on the 17th. Let's see, which was last Friday. So opening price, closing price, and we're going to compare this index to the S&P 500. And you can see how this index of stocks, based upon my weighting of market, I use market cap weighting, it is up 11.63% compared to 5.85% for the S&P 500. Now, just about everybody would be happy with that, but there are gainers and losers. There's 73 gainers, 37 losers. So 2/3 of the stocks gained over that period, and a third lost money. Now, there are some big winners in here. You can see that Square is up 84.62%, Align 67.97%, Control 4 Corp is up 65.23%, and on down the list. Now, we also have some big losers in here, and this is why we never take trades without risk control or putting a stop in. I always put hard stops in. I know a lot of people don't like to do that because they feel that they get whipsawed, but over the long term, it's been much more beneficial to me than sitting there having to make the decision, am I going to sell this stock or not? So let's look at MTSI. That's the worst example. So I'll just bring this chart back up. MTSI. And going back to June 26th, it's right here. You can see that it was an LLUR stock. If I zoom out, yeah, it's a loose stock, but it qualified for the LLUR based upon the filter. You can see what happened. Looks like probably an earnings disappointment. Here was a VPA flag before it broke. When you see a flag like that, and this volume is overshadowed by this volume, which comes later. Why don't I take this over here and get rid of that volume. So on that day, with this heavy black candle, which closed at its low, and an effort to fall VPA flag, the volume spike was high, much higher than average. That tells you to beware. Tells you as a trader to beware. And it held on for a few days, and then evidently that was probably an earnings announcement, and it collapsed. So a trailing stop on this certainly would have gotten you out on this bar if you'd have bought anywhere in here, and that would have protected you from losing, or would have protected anyone who was in this stock from losing half of the value of the stock. So that's why I like to use hard stops. Now let's take a look at SQ, which has been a stellar performer. This is going back to 629 right in here. It was an LLUR stock at that point. It pulled back a little bit. Momentum picked up here, as you can see. Then it consolidated, and then it took off again. Now let's use this stock as an example to see how often this has appeared in the smart groups. So I'm going to go back to my designer, and SQ is going to go in up here. I'll just type in the symbol, and then I'm going to go over here on the right, click on that. It turns the background blue, and what this does is it locates SQ in any of the groups. And these are all the reference groups, but more interestingly, these are the HGSI Top 50, the custom groups. Look how many times this stock appeared beginning back in March, multiple times in June, multiple times in July, August only one time, September several times, and then I scroll down here and look at all the times it appeared in stocks and groups moving to the upside. Here is June, here is July, August only one time when it was consolidating, then September, October multiple times, and then in the Best of Woodward and Brown, it appeared multiple times, many VPA flags, of course. And here's the top 50 that I keep. You can see that it appeared many times in May, June, July, and so on. So this stock is one of the big winners, and this is confirmed by the number of appearances in the, not only in the reference groups, but well, those really don't count, but in the Woodward and Brown groups that I keep, and the top 50, which are now maintained on the server. So there have been many opportunities to buy this stock. And let's look at one more. Okay, I'm not going to look at, how about Align was number 2, I believe. Let's look at Align. Go to the designer. I'm going to turn this off. Type in ALGN. Click on the folder again. You can see how many times it appeared over on the left. Stocks and groups moving to the upside multiple times. Here's June, here's July, here's August, here's September, October. Best of Woodward and Brown many times. Best of Woodward and Brown stocks are stocks that appear most often in the smart groups. Look at all those appearances. Leaders, raw relative strength. This has been a leading stock for months. It was a leader in June. This means it had an EPS rank and a relative strength rank of at least 85. And it appeared all these times. I mean, talk about multiple opportunities to get into a stock. And then here's the top 50 group inclusion report. It appeared all these times. These are swing high pullbacks, which are one-day pullbacks from the prior day's high. Many opportunities to get in. So now let's compare this to, I'll take this off. Let's go back to that HTML. Let's compare this to MTSI. And we'll scroll up to the top. Okay, now it was appearing in the top 50 in April and May, a couple of times in June, sometimes in July. It was in stocks and groups moving to the upside, June and July. Then it disappeared. It was in Best of Woodward and Brown many times, but notice how it just really dropped off the radar after, well, disregard the VPA signals because those are both bullish and bearish. So here's the top 50 GIR. Through July, it was there as late as July 26th. Let's take a look at it. Okay, here's July 26th right here. And then after this big drop, it disappeared. So only the strong stocks in this LLUR group, from the looks of it, continued to appear in my groups. Anyway, I just want to point this out to you. I believe that this group of stocks is still valid as far as a market timing device because it has not rolled over. Let's just quickly go into some top-down charts. I'm going to look at some market index charts. These are charts which allow us to analyze any HGSI index. You can see that the A's and the E's are still positive. In other words, they have not crossed over. The green has not gone down through the red. Did here for a little while, and then the strength came right back into these. This is the same thing essentially, but it breaks it out into A, B, C, D, and E. The percent above the 20, 30, 50, and 200-day moving averages. Yeah, there are some stocks that in this group that are weak. It's below the red line, below the moving averages. But the leaders in this group continue to be strong enough to keep this index moving higher. These are potential buy-sell signals here. Looks like it got a little weak right here, but it turned right around and had a buy signal again. Here's the high-low line continuing up. This is an accumulation distribution chart that I put together quite a while ago. You can see whenever there's a green bar up here, that's accumulation. Rose means distribution. There was some distribution here back in September. It looked like maybe this was going to roll over. Chaikin never did. The money flow never did go negative, though. And what happened? Turned right around and generated an accumulation signal again. These are, this is percent AD up here. It's A, B, C, D, and E. As low as it got was C. So it really didn't get into the distribution mode. And look at all these accumulation bars here when certain criteria was met. So this index has held up very well. This is a cumulative advanced decline line. And here's the high-low line. So anyway, just a quick analysis of this index. Like I said, I believe it's still valid. When I start seeing some of the leaders in this group breaking down, I will be very concerned about the market. Until then, I'm not going to worry about it too much. But you do want to concentrate on the stocks which are generating signals in the smart groups, the stocks and groups moving up, Best Woodward and Brown, top 50 group and inclusion report, and so on. That's where the strength is. When they drop, the others drop off and don't appear in those reports anymore, then they're pretty much self-eliminating. Let's take a look at one more thing. This smart group is generated every day, and I need to get out of here, clean that out. And if you look at your smart groups, if you have these turned on, the LLUR based on moving average extensions is right here. And this will be the current index. And you can see how far apart the A accumulation stocks are from the E distribution stocks. So these are the current leaders. Now, what you're going to find is or what I would find, and you would too if you took a look, that several of the stocks from June are going to be in this list too. But these are the stocks which are all lower left to upper right charts at this time. So if I change to the index group, let's go to the top. You can see that YY is at the top. Here's Star Surgical. Here's a line right here. There's a lot of familiar names in here. This is a good, there's 115 in there. I think I had 113 in the other ones. This is a good quick way to see where the strength is. You can sort on industry here, or you can do both. You can bring up the pie chart and see what the leading stocks are. This is dominated by semiconductor devices and application software, semiconductor manufacturing, home builders. These are the LLUR stocks now. Just go take a look at better get a different chart here. Yeah, this is a sloppy, loose chart, but it meets the criteria of the filter, and if you zoom out on it, it's a lower left to upper right chart. Cypress Semiconductor, it was consolidating back here. It took off. It's struggling a little bit now, but you can see that all of these, this IPG Photonics is just a tremendous chart. One that I didn't pay a lot of attention to, but look at it back here. The first of the year, if I use alternate A and bring this up and drag a line from here to here and look down here, you can see that this is up 148.1%. over 218 trading days. Just a tremendous stock that never really challenged the 18-day exponential moving average other than right in here. Maybe right here too. But these are the leading stocks right now. These are all semiconductors. Anyway, I just want to point this out to you, how they're performed, how that prior group performed in the past going forward, and how you can find what the leading stocks are very quickly. There's several ways to do it, but this is one, by using a SmartGroup. Thank you for listening.